all stuff together from there. I want to go through some of the more difficult, or the ones I think are, I don't know, just ones I want to point out things. Not necessarily the most difficult, but. So let's just do that first. I'm going to circle, just go through with me, and we're going to circle the ones that I'm planning on doing with you. Circle 4. And then we're going to cross out stuff too along the way. What you're really going to be after, right? Circle 5. Circle 4 and 5. Are there any more questions on that, or are we good? Circle 4 and 5. Cross out 8. Circle 10 and 11. Wait, which one? Circle 13. Circle 17. Cross off 19 and 21. Cross off 23. This is part of the reason it's so big. Like, this is one question. It takes 3 pages because they make gigantic graphs. Circle 30. College boards kill the race board. Cross off 31. Circle 35. Cross off 37. See, we just killed 25% of the work. Cross off 38. So my plan is to try to get through the circled ones today. The rest of them are ones I want you to try on your own, and then I'll answer questions on them tomorrow. Answers are on Schoology, so you can check it as you're going. Know what you don't know. And then tomorrow to ask questions, review, finish your cog, whatever, study, and then test Friday. Alright. So let's look at number 4. And I want to try it first. Like, a lot of these, I'm going to say try it, and then I'll go through it. So I want you to try 4, and then we'll talk to you. If I just start doing it, that doesn't help you as much. On these, I always recommend, I know I said try it, I think if you just go to the bottom and put like calc and just start like jotting down, like getting it out of a giant paragraph and into like more concise, here's what's going on, and organizing it, I think that's super helpful. this, my brain just like shuts down. I'm like, my eyes glaze over, and you ever read a book in English and you're turning pages, but like, you're not actually reading the book. Yeah. And like 10 pages later, I'm like, I don't know anything that just happened. So I tend to avoid that and just get like, I'm just summarizing. And this makes a lot more sense to me. And then I got to figure out which student did better. You can do it two ways. You can compare percentiles, or you could compare z-scores. I think z-scores is probably easier. So this one, my x bar is 81, my mean is 75, my standard deviation is 12, so I get 6 over 12, so my z-score is 0.5. Remember, z-score means so your 0.5 standard deviation is above the mean. If I look at this one, I'm actually going to get the same thing. So 84 minus 80 over 8, 4 over 8, my z-score is 0.5. So the student did equally well in each course. Okay? Try 5. So the question's not hard here, it's just like, can you pick out the information from the table? Let's see. So there's no percentile, I'm not giving you a percentage, I'm not asking you for a percentage. The stuff on the board, you'll notice I took away that like cheat sheet. But the z-score formula will be on the board. I'll keep this up. We don't have to do inverse norm, we don't have to do normal CDF, we're just using a regular z-score formula. And I'm looking for what score the student receives, I'm looking for x bar. So z is negative 1.2. X bar is what I'm looking for. And the mean, you just got to go up to the chart. So, okay, the mean is 104.5.7. Standard deviation, again, just go to the chart, 221.9. And if you multiply through and work that out, you can be. Do you want me to do the math part, or is that okay? We're good? Just say the light word. Go to 10. Try 10. So again, this. I'll show you this. Same thing. Like where's to me? So get rid of it. Good to go or not yet? Are you talking about this bomb or something else? Yeah, that's stupid. I was supposed to read it. In high school. Well, I didn't read it. Okay. So this is kind of the wait. Someone say wait. I can wait. This is kind of how I summarized it, and we're eventually looking for this. So what they tell us is that these two z-scores are equal. So my plan of attack is to find this z-score, put that z-score over here, and then use the formula to fill like the missing x bar. So if I find this z-score, it would be 530 minus 500 over 50. So 30 over. So this is 0.6. So this z-score over here has to be 0.6 also, because they're saying they have the same standardized score, same z-score. And then I'm going to use this to fill in my formula and find the missing x bar. So got z equals x bar minus mu over standard deviation. So 0.6 equals x bar is what I'm looking for, minus 300 over 40. Cross multiply, so x bar minus 300 equals 24. And if I add 300 to both sides, I should get 344. What you guys got? Alright. Read through 11. We have not talked about this yet, really. Yeah. So the idea here is they're converting. They're like, okay, we measure everything in minutes, and z-score is whatever. You know, we're a certain distance above the mean. Then we're going to convert to seconds. I don't know which order, whatever. Minutes, seconds. Let's just say we all got an order and listed, like shortest over here, Mr. Packard over here. I'm going over here. All the teachers going in order, right? And if I said, like, where is Mr. Kraft in that list? You would say, would you ask me if we were measuring in feet, inches, centimeters, meters, whatever? It wouldn't make a difference, would it? Like, if we were all to order ourselves by height right now, I'm going to be the tallest. I don't care if we measure inches, centimeters, height, whatever. I don't know who the shortest is. Arms, probably. I don't know. But, like, whoever's in the middle is going to be in the middle. Whoever's in the 75th percentile is going to be in the 70th. And it doesn't matter how we measure. Same thing with weight. If we want to line up by weight, it doesn't matter if we do pounds, ounces, whatever. So your z-score doesn't change if you change the units. Because relative to everyone else, you're still in the same spot. Does that make sense? It is. So let's all run a mile, okay? And we're gonna have an order of like, you know, I finished first, second, third, whatever. And I don't care if we measure it in minutes, in seconds, in hours, in years. I'm still in the same spot. The z-score just tells you the spot relative to everyone else. So changing the units is not going to change. Does that help? Yeah. Try 14. Oh, no, sorry, 13. I can't read numbers. Okay, so the idea here, let's say this were like an approximately normal curve. Let's just talk through how we would do that. So the third quartile is what percentile? 75%. Don't write that down. Don't write that down. And so if I give you the percentile and I want to know, if I give you the percentile, what am I using? Inverse norm or norm CDF? Inverse norm, right? Well, in that word, the word norm. That means normal. So we're assuming it's normal if we use that calculation, but this says it's not symmetric. So there's nothing we can do. Yes. I thought you were writing down like
I was about to change. But it says it is.
if it says it's normal, then you can do inverse norm and we're all good. But if it says non symmetric, we're just like, I don't know. I mean, it could look like this. I have no idea what. It looks like I'm flipping you off. That's not intentional. So if it said it was approximately normal, you would do inverse norm of 0.75 and it'd be fine. This says third quartile. But like in this inverse normal is the word normal, and like, if it's not normal, I can't use it. Try 17. Okay, so it would be a little easier if they gave us standard deviations to work with, but they didn't, and that's okay. What I know is that the most data is in the middle. So 740 to 780, if I just look at option A, is like over there somewhere. We'll compare that to 700 to 740, which would be like right centered in the middle. Which one has like more of the curve above it? Is the 700 to 740, right? And I can like keep comparing if I want, but B is my answer. So if I compare to 680 to 720, again, I have less. If I like shade this in, it's a smaller area than this was. 660 to 700 would be like over here, so smaller. 620, 660, now we're getting like way smaller. So the interval that contains the largest proportion is always going to be the one that's around the middle. Is that okay? Jump to 30. Try that one. This is a great question. Really solid. Really like it. Really appreciate that question. Not necessarily will be able to test in this form, though, right? Same gist. Like that. That's definitely not. You just pooped all over here. Yeah, you might be wrong. I didn't do it. So what I would suggest, and I'll just give you this hint, and then like, I'll give you this minute. I would convert everything in there to a z-score. I think is what I would do, or convert everything to percents. But you want them to be in the same like unit. So it doesn't matter which you do. I'll do both when I do it. Z-score. It's probably less work to go to percents now that I write out my little chart there. Let's not see. T is not greater than us. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, it's easy to like do the problem right and then I'll flip the order too.
That's me. I thought
Jonathan, I was about to say.
Oh, is it?
Alright. So if you did everything in percents, it's probably easier because these two are already in percents. T just tells you percent. And we know first quartile is 25%, right? So how can I turn that into a percent? Well, if I'm looking for percents, what calculator command do I use? Normal CDF. So if I do normal CDF, -999 up to -1, then I have a z-score, so I'm going to leave this at 0 and 1. Tell me 0.158, so it's like 16%-ish. And then I want to just order those from least to greatest, so it'd be R, and then T, and then S. So it's B. You could do the same thing in terms of z-scores. So this is -1. You could do inverse norm 0.25. Which would be -0.67, and then this would be inverse norm 0.2. -0.84, and you get the same thing. So like either way you want to look at it, just put them in the same. Not really a unit, but you know what I mean. I think it's a unit. Go to 35. Try 35.
I got that as well. Well, I really think.
Are you putting 10s just because they're 10 apart though?
But that's the standard deviation.
What if they labeled like to try to confuse you?
Then you wouldn't be able to tell what the standard deviation was at all if they tried to do it.
You can.
So what are you saying?
What? You know?
Well,
Yeah, Logan, I want to know the answer to this one.
there's like another thought process I want to talk through that you're right, and what you're saying probably works every time, but let me just talk through what I'm saying and see if you
So
get
the
it.
answer is 10.
The answer is 10, but I don't necessarily want you to think of it just because those are 10 apart. I mean, kind of, but also kind of not. Here's what I want. So, I want to talk about the empirical rule where it's 68, 95, 99.7, you know? So should it, like, 100% of your data, basically, 99.7, be within 3 standard deviations? So if my standard deviation was 5, I went 1, 2, 3 standard deviations. 1, 2, 3. Does that contain 100% of the data? No, so it can't be 5. So you see how it's a little different thought process? Where if I go 10, I can go 10, 10, 10, and now, does that contain about 100%? Yeah. Where if I did 30, now I'm going 1, 2, I'm like off my table. I'm like way on the sides. And that's like way bigger, you know. So I wanted you to think about how it matches up with the percentage too. You're right, like you can probably just look at it, but I would double check that like the percentages match up. You know what I'm saying? But that's all I got. So please understand that I'm inspired by this whole worksheet, not just the ones that we went through. I picked those ones because they're like a little different than we had talked about so far, so I wanted to talk through them with you. But the answers around Schoology, I would always recommend pulling those answers up and looking at it like while you're doing it. Work through the rest of it, I would say, before tomorrow. You'll have time in class tomorrow too, but bring me questions tomorrow that I can go through with you. Help you out whatever you need. Test on Friday.
No, I hate it.
First of all, don't forget to
I don't
and then
understand.
I'll find the median.
I don't understand what being a senior has to do with this, but
And then I've already used
right,
this.
right, on a first day,
Oh my god.
and then I have to take apart my base. And then on Monday I have to read two spaces.
Yeah. You subtract the difference between 2, 3, 4. You multiply that by 1.5. That's just like always.
That's better.
Anything that's bigger than Q3 plus 7.5. Which one you want? Is out. Anything smaller.
That's what I'm being held about.
You want.
That's what he stands for.
Is not. Yeah. 3 is not. Because I go way down to like. So you got those whiskers on the side. You know, those whiskers, like the little ones. The whisker is at the smallest point. It starts off. On the top dollars. 30 is.
That's exactly what I was talking about.
Dollars.
I don't.
The whisker goes up the biggest part. That's
Rachel, medical career. This guy has lung cancer. He needs to perform on
So you got
That's quick.
Rachel, I never have.
There's also, if
to
you go
say
back
my
to school,
life.
it's a web. If you get stuck,
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you got
No. I feel like, yeah.